All right, brothers and sisters, this is James Anike, and we are live today for Soul Liberation Station. This is our third Soul Liberation Station show. I didn't do a show last week, but we are doing it today. And of course, this is Memorial Day here in Indianapolis and across the country. And folk are having, I'm sure, good times, enjoying this wonderful weather. We got great weather here in Indianapolis, and great conversation for us today on Soul Liberation Station. And I'm still kind of trying to find my way in doing this today because, and in this space and in this way, because this, of course, is in my home studio, and this actually would be my last time doing it in this space because I'm actually moving somewhere else in preparation for moving out of the country, and so just getting it all together. But we're live today. We'll be live every Monday from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time, noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And over the next couple of months, I'm going to be working hard to more and more build up the audience in Zimbabwe. So I'm going to be reaching out to some of my Zimbabwean friends, and we're going to have a couple of them on as guests. It's 6 o'clock in Zimbabwe right now, and so we're trying to bridge the gap because once I move, we're going to keep this show going, and you'll be able to be a part of this whole process of transition, and I believe even transformation, because this is a new thing for me too. Just the idea of moving is always a challenge for me. Not one of my most likable things to do, but to do it under these circumstances, to also be moving out of the country. That means there's a lot of stuff that I have that I'm, some of it is sold and some have been given away, and all those kinds of things. It's just interesting and exciting to make these preparations. So again, this is Soul Liberation Station. This is our seventh. We're going into our seventh year. Began in Soul Liberation Radio, and we've been on air, both on radio and online, for these 6 years. Now going into the seventh year, and the seventh year we have left the radio on air portion of our show at the WTLC studios, and are just on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. And there's actually another network that we might be tapping into, actually, a couple of them. So I'll be giving you more information about that over the next couple of weeks. I got a couple of meetings set up. And so we may be expanding our way to reach out to you just over the next month or so. So I hope you continue to participate. And I'm also going to be talking more about what it looks like to be a sponsor and advertiser for Soul Liberation Station in its new format. And let me say this too while I'm thinking about it. I need you to become a subscriber to my YouTube page. If you are on Facebook, you see the link there. I believe it should have a little subscribe box there. I want to encourage you to subscribe. We really want to get our subscriptions up. I haven't really tried to do it up until this moment. And so I need you to be a part of making the YouTube station, the James Anike YouTube station or YouTube channel, more utilized. There are already shows and lectures and speeches and interviews that I've done on that page, on that channel. And we also have a website, Agapis United, agapisunited.com. Agapis, that's A-G-I, no, I'm sorry, AGAPISTS, AGAPISTS United.com. And you can also see the video, some of the videos are there, and all the information about some of the great things we'll be doing as Agapis United. And I will be talking more about that in the weeks and months to come. But right now, we have our guest liberator today. We just don't have guests. We have guest liberators, those who are already about the work of healing, empowering, and informing the Black community. And so today we're going to talk about social media and the movement, and of course that's going to reach out into several different, I think, categories. And so we certainly look forward to your calling in, and you can call in. The phone number here is 317 798 4058. 317 798-40, I'm sorry, 4085. You can call in live so that we can also have you as a part of this conversation. We want you to join in. And so our guest liberated today to help us explore this concept, this subject of social media and the movement, the Black movement. We have Minister Lydia Davis, who's with us. My sister, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank
So
you
far, so
for
good.
having me.
Right on, glad to. And see, again, just we were talking about technology before we started, and one of the things is there's a cable I need to put my screen, my computer screen, on a larger uh, uh, screen, a larger viewing method, and I
Right.
left that device at the church. And so those of you who are with us on YouTube or those of you who are with us on Facebook Live, you can see her kind of there. You know she's there, but you'll be able to hear her, I think, quite well. So thank you. And let me say this before we get into our conversation about social media. You are doing awesome things in feeding people and helping people who are in need. And we can't start this conversation without thanking God and celebrating the great things that you are doing. Can you tell us about that? What is that ministry called, and what services do you provide?
Yes, I am pretty much missions and outreach ministries,
Right.
and we have our feeding ministry over at Barnes United Methodist Church. That's on Sundays from 1 to 2 and Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
But I also am the founder and president of our You Feed Them Missional Food Pantry. We just celebrated our 5 years. We've had close to 500 salvations during our missional food pantry and over 8 baptisms during our missional food pantry. The difference between a traditional food pantry and your missional food pantry is that we don't just serve physical food, we serve spiritual food.
Right.
We focus on holistically trying to build relationships, and we are kingdom builders. You had that concept about give a person a fish and they'll be hungry soon, but you teach them how to fish, they can eat for a lifetime.
Right.
So we have a few initiatives that fall up under our You Feed Them Missional Food Pantry,
Right.
such as our youth savings program, where we help seed savings accounts for children 0 to 17. So we look long term, how to shorten future food pantry lines and social service lines, as well as empowering the community and families with children.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm so thankful for what you're doing. Encourage you in it, and if I can help somehow in these next couple of months before I leave, let me know what I can do, and even after. Because one of the things I'm going to do is certainly be doing all I can to bridge the gap between here and there, here in the continent. And so what you're doing might be the model for some type of ministry we can do in Zimbabwe. So we'll continue that conversation. Absolutely. All right. So you also are well known for your expertise in media and social media in particular. And tell us a little bit about how you got into that and what your roles are in social media.
Yeah, I think a lot of people attribute my expertise in media and social media based on my posts. My background, my background is in marketing and communications.
Okay.
Prior to Indianapolis, in California, I was over our marketing communications department, which consisted of well over 10 multimedia groups.
Okay.
So I focus on effective communication. Social media can be positive, it can be negative.
Right.
So I often say it's how to utilize it and what is the message you want to put out there. And we know that social media has a long-term lasting effect.
Absolutely.
So what you put out there today will be out there for your grandchildren in the future. So, you always want to be mindful of that. But I've always liked taking photos and capturing history. I think more so of families that have lost loved ones and they didn't have photos taken because someone didn't want their photos taken. Well, I've always liked taking photos, capturing that as a historical type hobby or just thing with my mom said I was almost like born with a camera in my hand, always taking photos. But it's just that in communication. I was always my mother was always say, do as I say, do as I say, and I'll ask why, and just do it, whatever. And I've always felt that information was empowering.
Right.
So communication, we communicate in so many vehicles, so many ways, but is it effective? Is it
Right.
impactful?
Mhm.
Is it transformative? Or are we just, as Bible says, just making noise,
Right.
playing sounds?
Mhm. And again, this is Soul Liberation Station. My name is James Anike. I'm the host. Our guest liberator is Minister Lydia Davis. And today we're talking about social media and the movement, social media and the movement. And you can call in. The phone number is 317-798-4085. If you want to call in so that we can share this conversation. You can also type your comments into Facebook Live, and I'll make sure I honor those. And you can text, not text, but what is it? You can share in our conversation section here on YouTube. And so, Brother Stephen Boyd is calling right now. Let's get this brother in on the conversation. Greetings, Brother Stephen.
Yes.
Man, I hope you're calling in for the Soul Liberation Station, because, well, I guess it is, because you calling this number. How you doing, man?
You got that right, brother. That's exactly right. I know I messed up. We didn't get to talk all this week because it's just been dynamic. But what is your guest liberator's name? What is her name again?
Sister Lydia Davis.
Sister Lydia Davis. Let me commend her for her efforts at this time, and let her know and others who are listening to this conversation that is so vitally needed. The things we're doing, what Soul Liberation Radio has been over the years, and the efforts I'm hearing from the sister are exquisite. And I live in this barren land over here called Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
So small enclave of black folk over here, and somehow or another, we might be pilling around trying to figure out something when it comes to this whole idea of social media and telecommunications, etc.
Right.
And like the sister, my background is goes way back when it comes to computers, starting from IBM forward. So the thing is that's important now for us to consider is how do we leverage this technology today and really create a dynamic kind of telecommunications opportunity for African people, not only here in America, but around the diaspora, to really communicate about serious issues. So there's a team here in Cleveland.
Before you go forward, Brother Boyd, let me let her answer that question, because I think that's a good question. And I'm sure it has a lot of different ways that you can approach
different
it.
angles.
But I want you to focus in terms of this question, focus in specifically, since we are trying to use it here at Soul Liberation Station, churches are trying to use it, other Black organizations are trying to use it. What are the top 3 things that we can really do to utilize these social medias for our best interest and for our uplift?
I would say, first of all, realize the importance. What COVID did, it had its negative, but it had its positives. A lot of churches and organizations went to online services.
Right.
You have to invest in what you want to produce. So you need to know what are you trying to produce, or what's your message you're trying to get out, and how do you make that impactful for all your seniors that had to learn how to use Zoom and watch services online. So you have to invest in your equipment. What you invest in is what you will receive. You can circumvent it, but you will always have some type of technological issues.
Right.
And that includes lighting and things like that. Another thing you need is your people. They need to be trained. You need to have volunteer. Well, in church, we will pay for musicians, we will pay for choir, but we will not pay your media. And it's your media after hours that's putting your graphics together and doing all these type of sound things. So you have to value them as well. And the other thing is just having a clear utilizing your platforms, the different platforms that you're on. If you're going to use YouTube and Facebook, you also have a different demographic on Twitter.
Mhm.
You have a different demographic on some of the other ones. What is that? TikTok and other items. So you just have to figure out who's the audience you're trying to reach.
And I'll confess, I've been bad at that. I've pretty much been sticking with Facebook. I got Instagram. I got Twitter. I don't have TikTok, but I do plan to get it. But somebody's got to teach me how to use all those.
Right. And you do. You need more of your instructors and to come alongside and help. I've helped many of pastors in this last 2 years. Just with basic things. And then when I'll see it, I'll text them or I'll call them and say, well, you had this out there. You may want to correct this or not do this next time.
Right.
So we have to be willing to come alongside and accept positive criticism.
Right.
In order to better and to especially those of us in the body that's trying to relay a message of hope and kingdom building and things like that, inspiration during such a time as this.
All
There's so much negativity out there.
Yes.
And then we have our young people that are watching.
And you mentioned negativity. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. I'm going to come back to Brother Boyd, but let me say again, this is Soul Liberation Station. My name is James and I'm your host. Our guest liberator is Minister Lydia Davis, and she's doing powerful things here in the Indianapolis area. And right now we have caller on the line, Brother Stephen Boyd, calling in from Cleveland, Ohio. And you asked, I'm thankful for that question. You won't add another part to that question, Brother Stephen.
Well, I really want to co-sign again and commend Reverend Davis for what she's doing to help our churches to become more technologically proficient. That is just a key element that we're going to need going forward. And it's not just our churches, but our churches have always had the prophetic message. It's the work of spiritual development that our churches have. So it's so vital that we begin to utilize the technology. I guess I said that as I said it because years ago I had a company called Effective Marketing.
Okay.
And I think she said her company was Effective Communications. And I just think that's such a key concept when it comes to whatever we do. Is this effective? Are we actually reaching people?
Right.
So that, and reach is different than just putting something out there so that they hear it. Reach has to do with making sure that we engage the psyche in the act of hearing information in such a way as they will act on it.
Yeah.
That's when reach has occurred. So you and I will talk, Pastor, because first off, I'm with that group not in favor of you leaving here. See? We're not in favor of it, but we're going to have to deal with it because that's what's going to happen. So, and we're going to make sure we keep you busy wherever you at. We're going to find you wherever you at and keep this stuff going on.
But I'm glad you said that because I was thinking this morning when I was having my meditation time, because I know the Most High don't want me to be under any delusions. I'm about to get into a level of work higher than what I'm involved in now. Somebody mistakenly used the word retire. Where are you retiring? I'm not retiring. No, this what I'm about to do now with Agape United, with Popular Truth Publishing, with whatever forms of ministry I get involved in Zimbabwe, with Africa University, Dan Butari, Zimbabwe, and there's several other irons that'll be in the fire after I leave here. And so, I'm about to get busier than I probably have ever been.
Well, I'm hoping that will, in fact, not because I wish you any more work than you have been about Pastor James Anyike, because you have certainly done a yeoman work. And I think the real question has to be, how do we make sure that we're communicating and folks are getting, they're able to get a prophetic word from many different perspectives because they're out there today. And so, and I'll say it publicly, I've always had this affinity for Afrocentric Christians, that particular initiative. So we'll be talking about things before you get away and as you get away and when you get wherever you at, we're going to just continue to talk and continue to build, So I want to encourage the Reverend Lydia Davis, is that right? Am I saying?
Yeah, Minister Lydia Davis.
Yes, Minister Lydia Davis, that is such a beautiful work. I hope we can talk in the future. Maybe there's some ways that we can find that we can be helpful here. Thanks for letting me get a minute in here, Pastor James.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you.
Continue on, brother. Yes, sir.
Right on. Peace and blessings.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. If you want to call in, the phone number is 317-798-4085. 317-798-4085. If you want to call in. Sister Lydia, you mentioned a moment ago about negative impacts. And
Yes.
I was thinking about how with several of these mass shootings, several of them, I want to say almost all of them, either there was a manifesto and or there was a live stream to some form of social media from the site where the murders were taking place. And that certainly was the case with this recent shooter in Uvalde. He was in contact with people, and I think he even set up live stream at the moment he began to shoot. The guy who was shooting up our people in Buffalo, same thing. He began live streaming as he began to commit the murders. So we see social media is being tapped for that purpose. How should we feel about that?
You know, I remember a few years ago. I don't know if you recall. It was off of Michigan Road. A young man had started live streaming.
Right.
He was running for the police.
Yeah.
And it was everyone so captivated by this because he was live streaming and
Mhm.
asking his family to come get him.
Right.
And it's not great. Something it can be glorified by some. Our young people are watching between it used to be just your video games, your violent video games,
Mhm.
but now your violent video games and your social media and having that attention, that craving for attention, the lines become blurred to reality. So now you're acting it out,
Mhm.
and we cannot not discuss the impact or the problems with mental illness.
Right.
There are a lot of young people or people that their friends, their world is made up on social media.
Mhm.
Back in our day, we played outside. We had friends, went to friends' houses,
Right.
and home. You know, you got home before the street light came on.
Mhm.
You know, those type of things. Now with social media, you know, the kids are in the privacy of their bedrooms. Parents don't enter their bedrooms because it's their private space.
Mhm.
I wasn't raised like that. I
Right.
didn't have a private space because I didn't pay the bills.
Right on.
You know, as a matter of fact, don't close your door.
Right.
So I just think the glorification or the use of social media is so easy to access,
Mhm.
and it's so easy for these private rooms, and there's so many acronyms out there that I don't even know
Right.
what an acronym, but they know that it's a whole language.
Mhm.
And if we're not in tune with people and aware of them, where I can look you straight in the eye or ask you how are you doing, and all those the body language and everything else come through. If I'm not paying attention,
Mhm.
you can easily fall to the side, and then you're wondering, well, what happened? Well,
Right.
we may have missed those clues. They've been posting about it.
Mhm.
They're watching certain sites and
Mhm.
stuff. So
And so really that's an important part of what we should be about. If we're talking about social media and the movement, we got to learn to decipher some of the things that are being said and done in social media, and especially as it relates to our young people. And we have to have a strategy for how we're going to reach out across the generational span. If we know we want to get certain messages out to our elders, we have to have an approach to that. We know we want to reach the college career age. We need an approach for that. We know we want to meet or reach out to the younger brothers and sisters. We need to have a clear approach as to how we're going to do that via social media. And a lot of it, I'm sure, is going to be by, we're going to experiment to figure out the best ways. And I'm thankful that I've learned a little bit, about how to use it, but I'm still far from where I want to be. And that's one of the things I hope to continue to develop and master beyond Facebook, but onto Twitter, onto Instagram, onto TikTok. Even if it's a small presence, I really want to try to make the best use of all these ways that we can reach our people, because
Yes.
they're certainly being reached by negative messages.
yes,
And the other thing that's very interesting to me is that how social media It used to be that when it was newspapers, magazines, it was clearly understood that as far as the hope to have advertisers and sponsors, the people, the readership, are the ones who are for sale. They're
Yes.
selling the readership, selling the number of circulation to companies who want to get a message out to those masses of people. Now we are the product. Our personal information is being sold to the highest bidder by social media. That's why it's free. Ain't nothing free. It's free because they are selling us to other people. Say something about that.
That is true. You don't realize if we're speaking and I happen to mention I'm looking for a new Toyota or something like that, and then you go to your social media,
Right.
you start seeing your advertising for social media for cars or Toyotas, and you just said that because of your especially your young people, but a lot of your seniors, a lot of people don't realize that your app when you download an app,
Right.
you have this all this fine print.
Mm-hmm.
But it allows them to turn on the microphones
Right.
on your phones in the background. And also the impact of just your information being out there, the quizzes, those OMG, oh my gosh
Mhm.
type quizzes.
Mhm.
What's your favorite color? What's your mother's
Right.
maiden name?
Mhm.
Separately, it seems innocent,
Mm-hmm.
but that's data's being galvanized and collected.
Right.
So now there's enough information that they can piece together that maybe what are your 3 security questions?
Right.
That type of information. Those things where you put personal information, what are your favorite candy? All this stuff can be utilized by those that mean harm to you.
I had a
And that's there.
I had a really interesting experience last week. Now, and this is interesting because I already know that there's the possibility that I'm being heard, but this kind of let me know that I'm being watched. And this is what happened. I was in the privacy of my home. Now, sometimes I might talk out loud if I'm saying something. I may talk to myself a little bit, not a lot. I really don't, but a little bit I do. So I can understand if I said something that allowed that information to be put into that cipher and be interpreted. But I promise you, I wasn't saying anything, and I wasn't sharing images of what I was doing. I got in a vehicle and I wanted to I have a way to hook up my phone.
Okay.
You know how you have those things that you can stick on your car to your window
Yes.
or sit in your cup holder. There's
Yeah.
different devices, right, that hold your phone. Well, I wanted mine to be on my mirror. And so I hooked up, I took one of those devices apart and arranged it so that it can hang on my mirror. I told nobody, I showed no images of it to anybody. Lo and behold, day before yesterday, there was an advertisement for a device that you could hang onto your mirror. And I said that, no, that's too much of a coincidence for it to be a coincidence. So we're being watched. Don't think you got any privacy. Don't think there's any privacy when you visit sites or anything.
Especially if you have those, what is her name? Alexis and Echo, those type of things. You having a random conversation. I need to look up how much a microphone costs. And you just talking later on. Here come Alexis say, I found some microphones for you, but because it's actively listening.
Right.
So, those are type of things that I try to always be aware of, but it's just a natural thing now. But we have to be more careful, and that goes for your children as well when they're in their room, with nanny cams and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Right now, it is 28 minutes after the hour. This is Soul Liberation Station. And again, my name is James Anike, the host. This is our 7th year of Soul Liberation activity. And we're entering our 7th year with a new twist. On one hand, we're no longer on the radio, but we're right now on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And we're going to be adding on some other media resources real soon. So I'll share that information over the next month. And then the other twist is we're going to be moving to Mutare, Zimbabwe. And so this show will continue in this time slot, 12 o'clock Eastern time, 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time 2. There are several Greenwich Mean Times, but this is 2, and in Zimbabwe. And we're going to be linking. We're going to be bridging the gap between the continent and us here in the diaspora of America and other parts of the world. The social media, it's the internet, so anybody can kind of come in But over these next couple of months before I leave, I'm going to be really reaching out to our friends in Zimbabwe to make sure that we are beginning the process of developing the link. That's one of the ways we want to use social media to bring us together. Because as you've just heard, there's so many different ways it could be utilized to market to you, to take advantage of you, to put information out there that can confuse you or hurt you, or especially harm our children. And that was one of the big controversies about 2 months ago as it relates to Facebook, when it was determined that they intentionally, look at, certain persons who may be, depressed or going through other types of issues, and yet they still put things in their timeline that may push them over the edge, may gaslight them. And I mean, how heartless. And these are conversations that took place on the floor of the Congress, or one of those congressional hearings. And so we understand the negative, specifically, and Sister Lydia, especially as it relates to Black empowerment. What things could or should we be doing to make sure we are empowering ourselves, we are uplifting ourselves through social media?
You know, what I realize is that we will share a lot of the negativity. We'll share a lot of the things that's glamorized, but we will seldom share someone's celebrate someone,
right,
or something positive, especially God's word. But social media has, especially for minority groups and Hispanics, African Americans, we are depicted most often on television as villains and criminals and things like that. So in order to counteract that, you need just as much, if not more, positive things that are going on. Positives. If you're doing well, then we're all doing well.
right.
Celebrate one another, and not take advantage of someone else, and not be jealous of someone else, because what God has for you is for you.
Yeah.
So to change that imagery and not see so much to where you see a young man with his hoodie on and things like that, you automatically, because what you've seen, you automatically associate that he must be a bad person.
Right.
When he could be headed on to work and just cold, or things that are going on. So it's just it's so much bullying that goes on. Social media has allowed us to hide behind the computer and our keyboards and bully one another.
Right.
So to counteract that is a lot of prayers, a lot of positive posting, a lot of being conscientious of what we're posting, and then realizing that if you support and encourage your fellow brother and sister, they have children and their nieces and nephews and young people that are also watching their page, that you're also impacting.
Right.
They're seeing this. So you just have to have a bigger vision and think a little bit outside the box. Be careful before you post something negative about something, because you don't know the impact that may, or you don't know what they're going through. You don't. That person could be depressed, and all they need is one more thing for you to for someone to seem like they're bullied upon. But everyone needs affirmation, and we need more affirmation.
Another way that we can uplift one another is when we see someone post something that gives an indication that they are down. Now, of course, we don't want to lie to folk. You don't want to say some affirmation to somebody that's dishonest. But we when we see those things, we shouldn't just leap over them. We should find some ways to encourage those who are hurting for whatever reason they're hurting, and help lift them up. Because you never know what one positive comment or affirmation can do for somebody when they feel like they're being unheard or unseen. And so, I mean, there are different ways to approach that. And, I was just thinking a moment ago how we can find a way, and I'm saying we in general, I ain't talking about me or you, but we can find a way to send all kinds of negative, selfish things. I've had conversations with sisters who talk about the number of brothers who send naked pictures to them through direct message, DM.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how common that is, but it sounds like it's pretty common.
Common.
It's common.
You get some. I delete. I don't read things. I don't open stuff. I don't know you that well, or those "How are you?" type starting. I'm thinking if you know me well enough, then I'm automatically deleting that things. You have to control what you're also seeing. You have 5,000. We have thousands of people that are social media quote unquote friends. And I have a handful of people that I call friends. I have associates and colleagues and things like that. But I don't see a lot of that. I mean, family, there's some stuff that I don't want in my spirit. I don't want to see, but yes, we're friends, but I don't see your page. I don't see where your stuff comes up. I don't dwell there. And I'll look for those positive affirmations, those things I see someone celebrating, or if someone needs in prayer things. No, I pray for that. I pray for it. So you can control what you see and what you allow in your spirit.
Absolutely. And so what we need to do is find those ways to send positive messages. If we're going to send somebody, what I would sometimes do, and this of course is if it's somebody I know, I see that they're hurting in some way. 7 times out of 10, I won't do something right there in the public post. I'll send them a direct message. I'll call them or I'll text them to say, hey, how can I help? What can I do? And I think that the more we do that, I think the more we can be helpful. And I'm going to say this clearly for those who are listening to this. I'm not doing this for everybody.
Right.
Let me say, y'all would wear me out if every person, had a need and want something. No, nobody should do all that. See, I have to stay healthy. And I have to be a good steward of the time and the health and the resources that God has given me. So no, there's some people who reach out for things that I don't know. And so I'm just telling you the truth. No, I'm not doing certain things or giving certain things, unless I have a really good sense of what this is about. I mean, there are situations and instances where I will meet a need, and I'm the guy who, if I go to the gas station and somebody asks for something, again, the vast majority of the time, I'm going to give it, unless I really clearly see, this ain't. So I might say, hey, I'll go buy that food for you. You see what I'm saying? I'll give you the ride to where you need to go. So I'll do those kinds of things because certainly we should serve one another. But again, going back to social media, and let me say this too. Y'all do know we still are in slavery, right? I don't know if y'all realize that we're still, and again, I'm not using slavery in the sense of chattel slavery when we were in chains, even though it could come back to that. I know it sounds strange, but it actually can get back to the place where we are enslaved. I don't know if you saw that episode, and if you saw the episode of Boondock, when the grandfather signed the document because he was so in financial needs, he signed the document to put himself back in slavery, and Uncle Ruckus was there to help broker the deal, and the white folk were real happy, and they did a big press conference. I'm sure I'm not the only one who saw that. So if you saw it those of you on Facebook, send me a little message. Make sure I wasn't imagining that. Let me again let you know you can call in. The phone number is 317-798-4085. 317-798-4085. We certainly want to hear from more callers. Call me up on that phone line. And unfortunately, it's just one line. So it's not like we can get more than one caller, but it's just that line. So if you want to call in, we certainly want to hear from you. And again, we have work to do. We have work to do as it relates to uplifting our people. And it would be a shame and a sin if we did not tap into what might be the most powerful method to reach our people in existence right now. We can reach our people all over the world. We can unite all over the world. And do know that there are people who understand the power of social media, and they are putting things out there to discourage you, to distract you, to keep you from finding a way, to keep us from finding the ways to use these media to our best interests, to empower us, to uplift us, to encourage us so that we can share our wealth. I think Black Dollar here in Indiana, here in Indianapolis, is one of the best things that ever hit social media.
Yes. It empowers us so much. So, I mean, you can find resources, you can support one another. You have a great, massive impact. And I believe it's gone beyond just Indianapolis, those that are part of that group, but it helps empower, and it's all about positivity.
Absolutely.
So it's support one another.
And for
Yeah.
those who are outside of the Indianapolis area, you might not know that we haven't here, as you said, now it's kind of branching out, but something that was started probably close to 2 years ago called Black Dollar. And I can't remember the sister's name who started it. You know?
Pumpkin,
yeah.
but Davenport or something.
That's it. Pumpkin Davenport started Black Dollar, and that's the way we network and get involved in bartering, get involved in sharing information about the services and products we have, and all those kinds of things. It's all about making the dollar circulate in the Black community, and it is a wonderful medium. So Black Dollar, DOLLA, here in Indianapolis. And if there's not a Black Dollar in your area, because a lot of what's talked about on Black Dollar here, of course, relates to businesses in the Indianapolis area. But wherever you are, and there may be other entities like that in your area. I'm sure there's something like that in Chicago. At least I hope there would be. And other places. Yeah, we need to have these kinds of mediums in place through social media, so that we can heal ourselves and circulate our dollars. And one of the key things I'm pushing right now through Agapists United. Systematic agapism means Black love. That's another term for Black love. So Agapists United is about helping to develop or redevelop a sense of shared values.
Shared values
Based on love, but love in a way that takes into consideration what we have gone through, who we are, and where we're going as a people. That's the nutshell version of it. And so my hope is that we will use our social media, and I try to do it all the time, to share certain values. We need to popularize certain values. And one of the things I noticed, because I sometimes intentionally put some funny stuff on my page, and sometimes some of the stuff I put up might be kind of raunchy. Amen. I done heard a couple of people, Pastor, some of my members, the members of the church will put down, Pastor, somebody go get the pastor. But I do that, and I notice how many times people like and share that information. Mm-hmm. But when I put that powerful message about that's going to uplift us as a people, very few likes, very few shares. And I'm not saying don't like the jokes and the other. I'm simply saying we need to be more just as serious about intentional about sharing those things that will uplift us as a people and regaining our sense of shared values, because we certainly have lost it. Now, I don't know if you agree or disagree. What do you think about what I just said?
I agree, because Hispanic families, so they have a culture where there could be 10 of them in a household, different families,
right?
But because they're sharing values, they're trying to get ahead together.
Yeah.
And we are so diversified, and we got to get our own. It's about me and mine.
Right.
You got to get your own. That's why I like Black Dollar, because I didn't realize it was that many businesses just in a small geographical area, like in Indianapolis. It's amazing, and the diverse amount of businesses from one end to another. Dominic Dorsey, he just had his Melanin in May.
Right.
He utilizes social media and bring together a lot of vendors and those to help support our community.
Right.
So to be able to continue to utilize that in such a positive way, we will share. You're right. We will share less of something that will help impact the community. I'm doing missional food pantry. That's seldom shared, even by our own people. That's right there. Seldom shared, but something else you will share a lot of that I didn't give much thought to about. It wasn't negative, but you'll share more stuff that really doesn't have a transformative impact on somebody's life or other people's lives of support and help and things that they're doing. So yeah, I agree with you. I think we can galvanize social media like Black Dollar did, like Dominic does with the Melanin in May, and I think he's starting to work on his next thing. So I noticed those type of generation to generation. You all do great with bringing so many of the community together for that event. So yeah.
And let me say this, and let me again say this is right now we're 44 minutes after the hour. So we got about another 15 minutes or so. We want to give you the phone numbers 317-798-4085. 317-798-4085. If you want to call in or if you want to chat with me here on YouTube, there's a chat section. And if you want to text a message in, I'm trying to be real mindful to see if there are any comments or questions that are coming in from Facebook Live. I'm so glad that so many of you have already and are with us on Facebook Live. I see a brother here from Nigeria. Good to have you, Brother Okachukwu, and a sister from Chicago, and actually a couple of people from Chicago, several people here from Indianapolis. I see Atlanta represented. So, I mean, we got a good range of people even in this moment. And so, but somebody should call in. I really, really want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your voice so that we can share. Let me say, too, as we're talking about Black businesses, I'm working with the oh God, I'm thinking the name of we have a Black business magazine, Diversity in Black directory, which we participated in last year, and several Black businesses, have participated. And you can get an ad in it. The ads range from $225, if I remember correctly, at the low end, and $700 and something at the high end if you want to get the inside covers and things of that nature. I think the back cover is already spoken for. But if you like to advertise in that magazine, let me know so that we can make sure we get your ad in. We only have a couple more weeks to do that. And if you have a business, you just want to have your business listed. Listing your business is free. It does not cost anything. And so we want to make sure that we as a community, the social media is awesome. We need that. But it's also good to have something tangible that you can put in your hand. And on Diversity in Black, there's both a on-site, online presentation and your in-print presentation. And so if you want to advertise in Diversity in Black, reach out to me so that we can get that set up, so we can get your ad and get it all in and everything before the time is up. My people. The topic that we're dealing with here today on Soul Liberation Station is social media and the movement. And I said a moment ago that we are still in slavery. I said that to lead into the point that we still need a movement. Mm-hmm. And when I say we're enslaved, that means that we still are subject to those who are in power. We still are controlled to a good degree. If the grocery store closes in our community, can we feed ourselves? In many cases, no. We have to go somewhere to find food. And that's why your ministry is so important, because the food resources are so tight. If they decide to cut off on our communication or confuse it, then they're empowered to do that, right? Even with the algorithms that run various social media sites, they are really dictating what you can see. They may or may not put Soul Liberation Station in your feed, your news feed, so that you can tap into this. And I noticed, that was a little bit more than a year ago, I went into Facebook prison. I went into Facebook jail for the most foolish reason. It wasn't even a post that I originally made. It was a post that I shared that was somebody else's post, which I'd actually shared before, and it wasn't a really bad post. There was nothing graphic or mean, or they just considered to be to some degree untrue, but it was a true post. And so they put me in Facebook prison for about a week. And when I came out, I automatically noticed that my reach had been broken down, tremendously. I was reaching far less people, because I would put up a post and it would, 30 people may respond, 90 people may respond, 200 people may respond for many of the posts. And then all of a sudden, after I got back on, 3 people may respond. And I know it wasn't because, man, y'all done forgot about me. I was gone for a week, or a month, or whatever the time frame was. Yeah, I think they control the algorithm in such a way that if they're not pleased with what you are saying, and I might get cut down a little bit more for saying this even now, you are cut down. Am I telling the truth?
You're right. When I created You Feed Them Missional Food Pantry, I had it was the name was long, so I had to abbreviate MFP
Mhm.
for Missional Food Pantry. Well, when I created it on Facebook and Instagram, they both blocked it,
Wow.
and so I had to fight with them and say this is a food pantry
Mhm.
type thing. And it was a mistake. Our algorithms look for certain terminology. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to get over it.
Right.
You know, at least, research a little bit on
Mhm.
there, but we're talking about a food pantry. But yes, they will for less offensive than some of the things that I see.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, now that's offensive, but
Right.
they don't block.
Right, exactly.
So, yes.
Exactly. So again, I'm looking for comments. Again, if you're on Facebook and you want to type in comment, I want to be sure to share that. Do you think we're talking right? Do you think we are engaged in a conversation that is meaningful and necessary? And what do you think are the things that we've got to do to best use social media for our uplift? What is it that you would recommend? We want to hear from you. You can type in your message here on Facebook. If you're on YouTube Live, you can chat with me and we will see that. We've had nobody chat. Well, I guess we did. The last show, there was somebody who chatted just for a moment. And you can call. Phone number is 317 798 4085. If you want to just call in real quick and let us have your input. And Brother Kwabena Rasuli, I'm sorry, Brother Kwabena Rasuli will be our guest liberator next week. He's on right now with us on Facebook, but he's going to be our guest liberator. And y'all know this brother, for those who don't know, this brother's been doing some awesome work in dealing with the level of vile and pornographic music that's on some of our radio stations. And so he's been challenging these stations all across the country. And so he's going to be back with us. He's been on Soul Liberation Radio a couple of times, but he'll be back for the first time on Soul Liberation Station next week to talk about that movement and what's happening with it and inform you, because there, some things you don't probably even know that are being shared on radio. Your children are listening to it, but you don't know the nature of what's being put into the hearts and minds of our children. And so we got a lot of work to do. Sister Lillian, what other thoughts might you want to share that we probably haven't had a chance to get into?
So I think that if we remember that social media is not just a communication tool, but it's a tool for connections, building relationships, networking. And then remember that unfortunately, social media is not it should be a safe space, place that you can facilitate trust and connecting with one another and networking. But just like in life and Bible speaks, we have the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Absolutely.
No matter whatever methods you're trying to utilize. But if we could be more intentional and more proactive in utilizing it, realizing it's not just a communication. Communication does not mean that everything needs to be posted.
Right.
Some things need to be held. I'm like, was that really necessary? But also a tool for connections, and then for family, for a lot is for just connecting with family. Family reunions have been built off of because of the social connections online. So we utilize that, and then just remember about social media breeds mental illness in a lot. Isolation and depression and like I said, bullying and things like that. So I think we just got to be more conscientious of our actions and behavior. Remember that just because we're not in person, we can't be hiding behind our screens and just, bullying people and desecrating, character and integrity.
Right.
Your character and integrity should exude from who you are in person. Don't show me one thing and then I'm reading something totally, different. So you just have to remember that it's not just a communication tool, but one of networking and building relationships. And just remember your children and your children's children will emulate that. That would always be out there.
Right.
A child that's 5 now, when they become 15, want to go back and see what their mom was doing.
All right now.
So,
And I've seen some images. A lot of what's on Facebook and some of these social medias are soft porn. Yeah. Some of it is straight out porn, but some of it is soft porn, Yeah. And I find that kind of interesting. And it's not by accident. I think it's part of the distraction tactic to keep us focused on, keep us focused on the animalistic, interests and levels. What are we eating? What are we smoking? What are we trying to do in terms of sexual activity? A lot of that is what's promoted and pushed.
It draws interest.
It does. It draws interest. Right.
It's a cultural thing, a thing that you get the most likes. That's why I want to say it was Facebook or one of them platforms has started saying that they may not show how many likes
I heard about
that somebody liked on it, because depending on where you are mentally, or so, that is important for you.
Right.
If you don't get a like, then that didn't work. I got to change my image. I got to do all this. Right. And you're building your life is surrounded, be based on people that you don't even know.
Absolutely.
And don't pay,
and I'm glad you mentioned too about the fact that relationships can be developed. One of the things I love most about Facebook is that I'm terrible at staying in touch with people. I'm just terrible at it. And this allows me the opportunity, the ways to stay in touch with family and friends and find people.
How you doing?
Yeah, right. And I really appreciate that. And I've been told, I believe it's true, that Facebook initially was started as sort of a dating site on a college campus.
Yes,
so that you can meet people that way. And they certainly do have a dating component to Facebook, even right now. And I know, and I forgot the exact statistic, but I want to say it's very close right now to 50% of existing relationships started online. Have you heard that before?
And I used to be part of that. I was part of, still is. I have great friends from this Black singles chat group.
Okay.
When I first started, I was coming out going through divorce, coming out of divorce and all that. And I didn't know what the outside world, because I was 30 years with one person.
Right.
But we developed a great relationship. Today, I'm watching their children that were babies graduating. And so we developed that relationship, but that was a dating social media platform at the beginning. But it developed into just friendships, lifelong friendships.
That's wonderful.
So it became it's a beautiful thing, and it can be, but it all goes back to how you use it and what you're looking for.
All right, we got about, what is that? Oh, that's 56. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left. What I want us to do in these last 4 minutes, let's just all throw out, those of you on Facebook in particular, I want to ask you to throw out just real quick one-line words of advice. So a couple of my words of advice would be, don't do anything illegal. Don't put yourself on air smoking a joint. I'm speaking to somebody in particular who is in my bloodline. I ain't gonna say his name. I call him Smokey. We'll just leave it at that. Don't put yourself smoking weed. He don't do it no more. He don't put that online. I think he still smoke weed though. Don't put yourself on social media doing that. What other real quick lines?
And with your guns and your rides of money and all this other stuff. Yeah. Mine would be the opposite. Start a movement of giving hope and sharing kindness, supporting ideas and concepts, supporting one another, being encouraged, being intentional about that.
And here's another one for me. This is real important for me. If I put out wrong information, please correct me.
Yes, in a loving way.
In a loving way. And I don't even mind if it's right there in the post.
Yeah.
If you correct me, that's fine. It's like you said, in a loving way. Don't say, Pastor, you're a damn fool. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't do it that way.
Right.
Do it in a kind way, in the way that it's given. I believe I give information with a good heart.
Right.
So we should be able to correct each other. Or if you really feel like you want to do it personally, then yes, DM me and share that privately with me. But I think we need to learn to give each other the best information, because I know for me, and I'm sure this is true for most people, we don't want to be running around spouting misinformation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's see. What else? What other one line?
I think you had an online, someone just posted something on there.
Oh, okay. Oh, let's see. All right.
When they go.
Sister Denise says, when they continue to go low, you stay high. Right on with the Michelle Obama advice. Yes. Anyone else? What other advice do you give? Can we give one another in terms of quick one-liners about what we should or should not do on social media?
pay attention to the young people that you may have on your pages.
Yes.
Be aware of what they're posting.
Mhm.
Be intentional about seeing if they may need help. You don't need to call them out, like you said, right there, but maybe reach out to them on the side, or if you know them, that is. But just try to encourage one another, especially our young people.
Absolutely. When my children were growing up, they would sometimes be sitting there with their headphones on, listening to stuff. They knew that at any moment I'm going to take one of them parts of it and listen to see what they listening to. That was understood. So it wasn't like, "What are you doing, Dad?" No, I want to know what you're listening to. And I think the same should happen with social media. You should have the a password to your children's social media sites. Is that good advice?
Yeah, I remember my twins. You know, I have my twin sons. They're 32, something like that now. But they were younger years, so they were a few years ago, quite a few years ago. They were in college, early college. But they would post something, and I would just type in there, "Be a leader, not a follower."
Right on.
And I remember my one son, he blocked me. He sent me I thought it was funny. It's like, okay, I can still text you, boy. Be a leader, not a follower. So then he befriended me again and all. And I went, I'm still mom.
Right on. And
you represent me out there.
Right. And I do actually try to stay real quiet. My kids are all grown now, but I still try to not always saying something on their page.
Right. Because they don't want that. I wouldn't want it with mine. So
right. Sister Lydia, thanks so much for being with us. This has been awesome. If somebody wanted to reach you, whether it be to tap into your expertise in communication or to tap into what you're doing in ministry with the food pantry, how can folk reach you?
With the food pantry, they can go to our website, You Feed Them, MFP for missionalfoodpantry.org. And my email address is also youfeedthemmfp@gmail.com.
All right.
They can look me up on social media. We're on all the platforms.
Right on. Thanks so much for sharing. We really appreciate you.
Thank you much.
All
right.
Blessed. Thank you. You too. All right, peace, brothers and sisters. Thanks so much for sharing this time with us on Soul Liberation Station. This is our third show, and I think we got some good momentum going. Sister Lenya Moore will be back hosting with me next Monday, and continuously. We're gonna still partner in sharing on this show. So anybody from Soul Liberation Radio, you know that she was the co-host. We would alternate, and so because of the timing, this being at noon during a weekday, it's a challenge in those times that she's working. But she's off this summer, and she's going to be hosting again throughout the summer, and we're going to figure out how she can host probably a different show once she gets back. She teaches, so once school starts back up, or rather she works in the school. Once school starts back up, we'll figure out a way to keep a show going, or keep her connected to the show. Again, thank you so much for being with us on Soul Liberation Station. Thank you, Brother Stephen Boyd, for calling in. He was our one and only caller, but I'm thankful that you did call in and share with us. So thankful for our guest liberator, Minister Lydia Davis, with us today, and thankful for all of you who have been with us on Facebook Live and are with us viewing this on YouTube. Let's keep this revolution going. Let's keep on and stay engaged about the business of healing, empowering, and informing the Black community. And let's figure out those ways to help. I'm going to be sharing more information about Agape United and the ways that you can support it and how you can support Soul Liberation Radio as we continue to go now into our 7th year, and how we're going to expand this thing for many years to come and make it as meaningful in our lives, and especially in our sense of uplift as we possibly can. Peace, brothers and sisters. If those on Facebook Live and YouTube, y'all share this with others so people can get this information so that we can grow this show. And again, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that we can really promote that. And I think there's some special advantages when you have a higher number of subscribers subscribers on YouTube than if you don't. And so I want to encourage you to do that. So again, thank you so much for sharing with us. We'll be back next week.